Austin, you're doing great job right now. You're doing amazing. What a zoom in. Welcome to Gridiron Junkeez. Woo! Cut that shit off. Now let's get into some football picks and predictions. That is what Saturday's show will entail. So good weekend to all of you. Is good weekend a term that we should start using, Austin? Like,
absolutely.
Instead of good day, good weekend, my sir. Good weekend. And it's going to be a football blessing weekend coming up here pretty soon, because although we do have preseason football, I know I said I didn't want to spend too much time on preseason football, but I mean, there's still a lot of juicy storylines other than Hard Knocks. But one of the juiciest storylines that has been confirmed as of yesterday is that Deshaun Watson is going to be receiving an 11-game suspension in which he will have to also have a fine of $5 million. Now, for what he did and based on everything that has been said, I will say there's something to be said about owning up to what the wrongdoings that you have done are. And thoroughly, I feel he has not done that whatsoever. You can't keep denying the inevitable. One time is an anomaly, multiple times is a pattern. And that dude showed a pattern. And he's also showing like male pattern baldness too. Not meaning to just continue to shit on Deshaun here, but he does that himself. He doesn't help himself. If Deshaun Watson was to admit to his wrongdoings, take, ownership of what he did, then what I think you'll see, people, is a tad bit more compassion. And not only compassion, but you'll see a person that is going to be the greatest version of themselves. When you see somebody that hasn't admitted to their wrongdoings, there's still a tad bit of piece of shit to them, right? So if you are a person that is continuing to live in that type of pattern, I can't expect you to be the best quarterback you can possibly be. Now, do I think he'll lead the Browns to the playoffs in the coming years? Yes. I think he's a world-class talent. I think everybody makes mistakes, and I'm not holding him for his mistakes. But what I'm saying is you got to own up to him. And when a person doesn't own up to their mistakes, there needs to be at least that good friend that holds you accountable. The NFL does not be that good friend in this situation. The NFL is not that good friend. In fact, the NFL, when it came to this Deshaun Watson suspension, I don't know. It just reminds me of this scene from this movie. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but this is what the NFL did to Deshaun Watson. And you're not in trouble, you dirty little dog. You're okay. You're okay. Same thing happened to Bob Kraft for the Patriots and stuff. He got the photos taken of him. Now, I don't know if there was allegations behind it like Deshaun Watson's got going on here. But with this whole 11-game suspension, you're looking at Deshaun Watson coming back week 13 against the Texans. Now, this is just like, oh my God, Austin, isn't this just a crazy anomaly? The week he comes back to the team he was traded from.
Right. It's almost like, and like the guy is saying in this tweet, the NFL is doing this shit on purpose. But I think it's hilarious. It's free entertainment.
It is absolutely free entertainment. And if I had to guess, that game will get flexed. It's a 1 p.m. game, but it'll probably get an afternoon slot.
Could you imagine like the press tour for that? They're going to be like, Deshaun Watson, will he massage the Texans?
Dude, so can we hit some honorable mentions right now? Because I
on your fantasy football names?
Huge shout out to everybody on TikTok. What a platform. Already on TikTok, I've got damn near 500 followers because you guys fell in love with just commenting on my top 3 fantasy football names. And very few people, like next to none, like shit on how bad my name picks were, which I'm very grateful for. I put very little to no effort onto that one. My first one was my winner, and then I had so many other Deshaun Watson ones. Racing with Ruggs was a dangerous one. Kareem Pie is another hilarious fantasy football name.
You got to make me look at this now.
Deshaun touchdown there. That's, I don't know about that one. Riley Reed option is going to be my fantasy football name this year. I think if I can, deceive men the way that Riley Reed deceives me on occasion.
I don't know if you saw this. I know you comment on it, but there's McAfrican Americans.
McAfrican Americans was a bold move, Cotton. Watson's next Chubb hunt. Because he was always trying to get people to touch.
Oh, this one. I remember reading this one with you on the drive home. Turn your head and Goff.
Ah, yes. Oh, Watson's massage parlor. And we're done. Great names. Keep commenting all the fantasy football names. It could not be better time, because if you're not in a league, we are going to be starting a league for Gridiron Junkeez, and I'm going to be blasting it out everywhere to see who we can get in the community that wants to stay a part of the show. We're going to create a nice little fantasy football league that will draft literally the week of the first game. We're talking like a Tuesday night draft, and Thursday night football is when the season starts. I hate drafting too early. There's literally no point to it. You're overthinking it. You want to be like excited for football. I'm not saying that I'm not excited for football right now. I mean, 3 podcasts in a week. I mean, that's pretty fucking excited for football. Bill Krakenberger in studio. That's pretty excited to win money on football.
We're already shit talking the Chargers and the season hasn't even started. Could you say we're not excited?
We are so fired up for football. There's only one other person that's more fired up for football, and that's the Nebraska lineman coach, the head lineman coach for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. In an article written about the Cornhuskers this week, it was said that offensive line coach Donovan Raiola, my bad, I got the little cutoff, is coaching his position group intensely, Frost said. Frost is the head coach. To that point, he estimates there are 15 to 20 vomits every practice from those linemen. It is not because they're not in shape. He's just working them hard. Give me a fucking break.
You've never thrown up at practice, George?
No.
What?
I have like I swallow my shit because I'm a fucking man.
Oh no, I've let it rip.
Like, it's not like a bad one, but it's like, okay,
get the burn.
But dude, if you have 15 to 20 players throwing up before practice, it may not be the offensive line coach. It's sounding like they have a fucking nutrition coach issue. Like, they need to reinvest their money. DeColdis Crawford, has he been one of the people throwing up? No,
he's cold.
He's super cold all the time. That kid is in a constant state of damn near having COVID.
I think the school board, because this is for college, I think they should figure out like how many fast food places are within like a 5-mile radius of the school, and just observe. Make sure they're not going there.
No. 100% they are going there, dude, because do you see how big offensive linemen are? Offensive linemen are these literal just doors. They're walking doors. Walking fridges.
Weren't you a defensive lineman?
No. Well, like freshman year, but like everybody doesn't play their proper position until like senior year because like, people be growing. So if you have 15 to 20 players vomiting every practice, I don't know. I've never been to Nebraska in the summer. Is it that hot in Nebraska? Is it really? Let's look. Hey Siri, what's the temperature in Nebraska? Lincoln, Nebraska.
It's about 88 degrees in Nebraska state capital.
Give me a fucking break.
What's the humidity?
Got kids throwing up. Who cares? 88.
What if it's like 88 with 100% humidity?
I was practicing in 115 degree heat.
I know.
Times.
I went
middle of the summer, just because our coaches rated. Even at UNLV for like fall camp, you're practicing like that later part of the morning, 11 to 12. Holy fuck. The turf gets so hot, you're like pouring water on your feet, but then you pour water on your feet and it actually boils. Everybody that's played football on hot turf, they know if you pour water on your feet, it's like the worst thing you could do because it'll create like really bad blisters because you're just like literally boiling your feet. It's so gross.
I'll take the wrestling room with no AC, thank you.
Yeah, all right. Moving on. I think that's a wrap for the first half. Nebraska, you need to go get yourself a new nutrition coach. And I recommend Fed Up Kitchen here out in Las Vegas, Nevada. That is a shameless plug right there. I love them. I use them. And hopefully they're going to re-up on my meals. And I'll put them as a sponsor of this fucking show. Austin, let's go to halftime. Come on, boys. And we are back for the second half of Gridiron Junkeez. In the second half, the Saturday show is going to always consist of picks and predictions. Now, today, I was supposed to have a co-host, but hey, it's okay. The world moves on, and I promise, Kiki, we are going to have you in studio one day. You are going to have a great little segment called Kiki's Cards, and we'll plan it out. We'll practice it. Maybe it's a pre-tape segment. We do multiple takes, but we're going to add that shit in there because we need Kiki's card eventually. But regardless of that, we're moving on to G Money's Parlay of the Day. And I'm going to create a little sound graphic for that eventually, guys. But you just know that I just work really fucking hard. But G Money's Parlay of the Day. Cha-ching! So we have a pretty stacked lineup of shitty games this weekend in preseason football. But what I decided to do is make a 3-team parlay here. There was a couple of games that really interested me. One is that the Baltimore Ravens are going on a 21-game win streak in the preseason, which is like absurd.
How many seasons is that?
That's at least 8. 4 times 8, 20. No, 7. It's at least 7. So 7 preseasons without losing a game. They give a fuck, right? They have like a sense of give a fuck. And that's what Bill Krakenberger said to me on Tuesday's show, was just like, oh my goodness. Like, you know, that's a team that actually puts forth the extra effort. However, I like going against the grain a little bit, but we're going to get to that pick later on. They're going to be the Sunday night football game. The first game, though, that I want to talk about, though, is I saw the Houston Texans versus the Rams. I am a firm believer that if you've won a Super Bowl, there's a notion behind you that you have to really, you remember how tired you were not too long ago. We got to remember, these are the people that were playing to the very, very end. They had a very short break, and now they're re-upping. I always look for this when I'm betting for preseason games. If a team made it late into the season, they may have some people that they want fresher, especially only week 2 of the preseason. So the Rams are going to look to sit people a lot earlier. Not only just sit people because everybody does that, right? But they're not going to have the hunger that the Houston Texans are going to have at home. I'm going to take the Houston Texans straight up at -110. That's the first leg of the parlay. Second leg of the parlay that I got rolling here is Detroit versus the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts. Lions versus the Colts. We have Dan Campbell, Matt Patricia, Hard Knocks taking on the Carson Wentz, Josh Taylor, massive type backfield. What I am seeing here on Detroit Hard Knocks is if you have a head coach that is doing 40 up downs with you before practice starts, which is what Dan Campbell does, I am a firm believer that you guys are going to win a lot of games. They were there a lot last year. They're a kind of fun team to watch on Hard Knocks. Too much dancing for me. They've had a lot of like little skits that they do, and I always like seeing the skits. But this year, sometimes I just want to be doused in more football. So hopefully these later episodes can give me some more that in-depth feel of the games and stuff, and we can cut it out with fucking Aiden Hutchin doing the Michael Jackson, like, Billie Jean. Yes, I can do without that. So although I could do without that, I can't do without the Lions here. I'm going to take the Lions at -150. So I'm taking the money line for both the Texans, the Lions, and then we're going to go into that Sunday night football game with Arizona and Baltimore. They're riding out the 21-game streak right now. I don't feel that the Ravens will not play that game tough. Do I think they're almost a full touchdown favorites against a team that is also extremely hungry? I was told by one of the greatest sports bettors of all time, you have to look at the hunger and motivation of a coach. So, Cliff Kingsbury, there's a lot of people talking a lot of shit about you. They had a very similar season to the Chargers last year, where it was just like a, let's just blow up, but then let's just shit the bed towards the end. Cliff Kingsbury wants to take advantage of like a really hungry team. He wants to prove himself, make a statement early on in the season, start off 2-0. That coach is a coach that I feel will not get beat by a touchdown. So although I don't have the Cardinals winning, I am taking the Cardinals at +6.5. I do think the Ravens care a little too much about the preseason. They're very, very hungry to keep that going. So with that being said, the final parlay, we're going Houston money line, Detroit money line, Arizona at +6.5. You guys go lock that in. Tell me if it hits. I'm going to post my card as soon as I go play that later on today. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on Monday.